Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another week of STIR Crazy Month. And in fact, this is our last week. And we are thrilled to have a fantastic panel talking about sustainability this week, which is a big profit generator for our vacation rental businesses. Not only is it good for the planet, good for the environment, good for our souls, but it's also good for your ROI. We are going to get started in just a second, but just to remind you that if you are not yet registered for STIR Crazy Month, you have a lot of benefits as a registrant. You will be able to have access to a great discount from our top sponsor, Guesty. We've got to give a big thank you to Guesty. If you get registered, you'll actually get 50% off your first year. To get registered, you just need to go to vacationrentalformula.com/SSTIR. You can head across and you can view all of the content from the previous 5 weeks that we've been covering during STIR Crazy Month. And if you didn't know, STIR Crazy stands for Safety, Sustainability, Trust, Insurance, and Regulations. And we're finishing off this fantastic event with talking about sustainability. So I'm going to hand this over to Heather now. But before I do, just a reminder, you can ask questions while we're going live. You can ask questions on whatever platform it is you're watching on. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, I say this every week, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So whichever platform you're watching on, you can leave a question in the comments, and that will show here, and the panelists can answer live. But if you're watching the replays, please leave your question there in the comments, and we will do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. So without further ado, let's hand this over to Heather and get this STIR Crazy party started.
Well, hello and welcome to everybody that's joining us today on whatever platform you're on. Super excited to have this sustainability panel today. This is the 5th week of STIR Crazy Month, the 5th and final week. Do we say we've saved the best to last? I think so. Yeah, I think so. And so I am delighted to have with us today my friend Bob Garner from Enviro Rental. Bob, I haven't seen you face to face for ages, but it's always a pleasure to see your smiling face, even if it's virtually. So welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be back again.
Lovely to have you here. And we're also pleased to have back Claire Binns from Sykes Cottages. Claire, what is your title at Sykes? What is it that you actually do with them?
Sure. So I'm the Senior Impact Manager. What does that mean? That means that I lead on all of our sustainability initiatives. So that's environmental and also social equity initiatives, because the social sustainability is just as important as the environmental side of things.
Well, I'm sure we're going to come back to that, but thank you, Claire, for dialing in from the UK. Sean, I didn't invite you just to have the one US accent or North American accent. Sean Kemper from ETI Solutions, another good friend. You are doing so much for sustainability in this industry over in this side of the pond. So it is really good to have you here. Thanks for joining in.
Well, it's good to see you again. We definitely need to get together, you and Phil, have lunch before you get out of here.
We absolutely do. I mean, you're just a stone's throw up the road from me. So we'll be in touch after this.
Awesome.
Glad to be here. It's an absolute pleasure to have you all here. And yeah, this is one of these panels that I think is, I would like to last a little bit longer than the short sort of 45, 50 minutes we have. So let's get on with it. So Staywise Rentals, our fictional property management company. I bet they're happy to be in this last week of the STIR Crazy event, because they have struggled with so many issues over these past few weeks. They've had their safety issue, they've had trust problems, they've been slammed with regulations, and they've realized that their insurance is not covering them as much as it should be. But over the weeks, we have dealt with these situations. We've brought in some amazing experts to help them out with all these different problems. Now, this week, and as I said, I'm sure Staywise are very happy that this is their final week. They're starting to lose some of their loyal guests, people that have been with them for years, because their guests are saying, you're not very green, you're not sustainable. And this is important to us, but some of your competitors are doing much better than you are. One of the other issues that they're having is that across all their properties, their power bills are soaring. And they know that they need to look at some methods of being more eco-conscious, eco-friendly with their use of power and water. It's a lot for them, particularly after the nightmares they've had over the past few weeks. So I brought together these amazing people who know what sustainability and environmental protection actually is, and they're going to share their wisdom with us. So thank you once again for joining us. So I'm going to lead off with a thing that I hear from property owners. They say, well, this is great going green. I hear all this, but it's it's just costing us. It's costly. How do we deal with that? How can we go this route when our margins are really, really slim now? And you're telling me that I've got to invest in all these things to make us more green. It's a bit, I know this thing that organic food. I love my organic groceries, but if I go to Walmart and there's the pound of tomatoes at $2.99, or there's a pound of organic tomatoes at $4.99, if I was on a budget, I'm probably going to go for the lower one. So that's just one analogy. Bob, kick off. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely right. Your observation's spot on. I mean, I would say, and it's what Environmental tries to do all the time, is that we communicate the 9 or 10 business benefits for being sustainable, because we might all be passionate about sustainability and the environment, but most hosts and property managers, their top priority is making their business grow, keeping it on the tracks, putting food on the table for the family. So they have to be really conscious of all of these financial aspects of their business. But I would say that there are many business benefits to being sustainable, and you can get your costs down. You can get ahead of the competition, get ahead of the regulation, get better reviews, get repeat business, etc. All of those things. And I speak from personal experience managing properties in Italy for 20 years around sustainability. I do think I understand what works for the guest, what works for the planet, but importantly, what works for the business. And that's something that we really need to stress. So, you were talking before about Staywise losing against the competition because they're not taking some simple basic steps around sustainability. I would advise Staywise to take some simple steps, and we can talk about those. I'm sure those will come out through the discussion. And importantly, then brand yourself as sustainable. Talk about sustainability, put it on your website, put it in your digital guide, put it in your emails, write a blog about it, brand yourself so people can understand. We talk about this, and I know, Heather, you and I have spoken about this in previous occasions. People know about greenwashing, where you exaggerate what you're doing or exaggerate the impact, but there's also green hushing, when you're actually doing some good stuff, but you're not telling anybody. So you've got to really take some steps, brand yourself, and then differentiate yourself from your competitors, so that when customer A comes along and they're at the final choice between your property and another one, and it's the same value, it's the same quality, it's the same service, but one, you can differentiate yourself by being sustainable. And who isn't then, when it's down to that last determining factor, not going to choose you and go, well, let's go with Staywise, because they are taking some steps to be sustainable. And that resonates with me because I want to do the right thing too. So I'm going to give them my business, and I'm going to, if I have a great stay, I'm going to recommend them to my friends and to my family, and I'm going to write a great review and let people know why I'm staying there and I want to go back. So I think these are some of the factors that we can probably get into.
I just want to mention a company that I came across in the first panel, in the trust panel. We had Justine Ireland from Just For You holidays in the Isle of
Yes.
Wight, and I saw her website, and it's just like, oh my goodness, this is the model that people should follow. You know, these with, and Sean will love this. She has on her site the types of cleaning products she uses, and the how she encourages her owners to save energy and buy the right appliances, etc. It was Mike, can you put that Just For You holidays into the chat so that people can go take a look at that? I've been talking about Justine and Just For You for right the way through these 5 weeks, but Claire, you know, just taking this, how do you at Sykes, how do you get this message across to owners about the business benefits?
Yeah, well, I think, and as Bob said, it is, you know, it does make your property more marketable. We know that there is a desire for people to travel in a more sustainable way, but also it's about breaking it down, you know, taking a phased approach for it. No one's saying that you've got to become this 100% environmentally friendly product overnight. And there are quick wins that you can implement, and you're going to save money. Okay, you're going to spend a bit of money, but you're going to save money as well. Putting in LED lighting to reduce your energy bills, putting in low flow water fixtures to reduce water consumption and your water bills. You know, and all the way going up to installing smart thermostats. I'm sure we might come back to some technology solutions, to solar panels. Yes, you can go totally above and beyond and be the exemplar, but there's lots of small, really easy changes that you can make to your business as well, that come at a small cost, but actually you'll find reduce your operating costs, which, you know, that's a no-brainer to me. And you know, you're telling your customers that you're doing this as well, showing them that you're doing it within your property as well as in your marketing materials. That's, you know, it's going to have a really good impact.
Yeah, and Sean, you talk to a lot of property managers in the US. How do they respond to discussions on sustainability and the business benefits of it? Because I know we've just talking with Bob earlier on that this is, people seem to pay more attention to this in the UK and Europe than they do in North America, or certainly don't talk about it as much over this side of the pond. What are you seeing?
I mean, that's the truth. You guys over there are definitely leading the way. But I mean, if you look at it, hundreds of years, thousands of years, you know, y'all's plumbing is totally different than us in the United States. So there's going to be some things that, you know, we're probably a little different on. But when I'm talking to these folks, and again, I've been in the chemical manufacturing world for about 20 years. So as a family business, we were using next generation surfactant, sustainable stuff. And then if you look back at, you know, there was the green seals, there's all these various seals that came out there, and they just the chemistry wasn't ready. So, you know, with my background in the operations and back of the house, you know, the chemistry has definitely evolved where we are having, you know, safer choice chemicals. The ingredients are better, reusable plastics. You know, I hate to say it, us in the South, we're always a little bit slower to adapt to these things. We drive big trucks and things like that all around, gas guzzlers, and we haven't embraced the Teslas per se. But, you know, folks are learning, you know, the millennials and Generation Z coming up, these folks are really looking for eco-conscious properties. So there is a change, and I'm seeing this really starting to stick more so now than it ever has before. I've been talking with Cassiola, you know, they're doing the Sustanica program. I've talked with other folks, Rachel all day, you know, over there in Park City, they actually have programs to help them become, you know, certified and more eco-conscious and friendly. So the people are really starting to take hold of it, and they're listening to it. And it's a good time for us to help educate and be there for this industry.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Sustanica, because I wanted to ask about the certifications that are available for vacation rentals. You know, are they actually worth pursuing? Does it make any difference if you have a sustainability certificate on your website? Does it help bookings? Is there any feedback about that?
I mean, I can jump in there if I may. I mean, absolutely. I don't work for SSTIR. I'm not paid by SSTIR, but I do think that is a badge that works, and it helps owners and property managers to start on their journey and to encourage them to progress, because you have to reach a certain level. I think it's 20% before you can get a badge. And then obviously that badge is an indicator of trust, that your clients coming to you can see that there's a badge that actually, by the way, has been certified by Travelist, and that's an independent agency. It's a third-party approved badge. So there's legislation in Europe about these things, which means that a lot of the badges have fallen by the wayside. And now you can't just self-certify and give yourself a badge, and that doesn't mean anything. You have to have an audit process. I think that's really valuable. So with a badge like SSTIR and other badges that are available, then that encourages you to start on your journey, it educates you about what those next steps would be, as does environmental. And it then gives you a way of communicating that out to the outside world. And that's really important, because people want to have some sort of sense that there's some checks that you are doing what you say you're doing, and you're not just pretending that you're doing X, Y, and Z. So badges are really important, and I think they are absolutely the way forward. So I would encourage people to look at SSTIR or Calia, which is another great one in our sector. But there are many badges, but those are the two that are particularly focused on short-term rentals.
Yeah, and we need to do that better over here in the States. I mean, like Claire said, appliances that are better, your water flow. I mean, all these other things really impact the environment for sure. Working with your local community and buying from local farmers, or, sourcing things locally, so the whole transportation or logistic thing isn't stressed. So, SSTIR is out there, but over here it's a little bit trickier because they're going by the EU. And I've been having conversations with them, and the United States is very different from, my EPA, safer choice chemicals is different from what they have over there. So we definitely need to maybe form a better front in the United States.
Yeah, and I agree. Having that external endorsement that you are doing what you say you're doing, that's been, independently verified, is really important. And we've recognised that ourselves as a business. So Sykes is actually a certified B Corp. So we've got, which is it's probably not appropriate for someone who's only a single property owner. But if you've got a few properties, I'd encourage you to look at it. It is a lot more in depth than SSTIR, but SSTIR is a brilliant certification as well in its own right. But yeah, we've recognised it. We want to have that sort of stamp of approval, as it were, so that our customers can know that what we say we're doing around sustainability actually is all true, and that we've been properly audited to verify that.
Yeah, I only heard of B Corp just I think it was at the panel maybe last year. We had Rachel Parsons from New Forest Escapes, and they're a B Corp company. And I think one of the questions I had of her was, is this an international thing, or is it just, is it just UK? And then she was telling me about companies in Florida that had got their B Corp status. So I think that is whereas, and you're absolutely right, Claire, SSTIR is something perhaps you could do fairly quickly in the short term to gain a certificate, but then to work towards that B Corp status it appears to be a lot of work. It's a bit like getting a PhD. Is that a good way of doing it? So getting a B Corp
it puts your whole business under the microscope, and you have to recertify every 3 years. So we're just getting ready to prep for our recertification. That's keeping me quite busy this year.
Sure
okay. Go on, Sean, were you saying something there?
I just said I'm sure it is. I mean, that's the elite. I mean, that B Corp. I mean, you're under the fine-tuned microscope. I mean, it's brutal. So good for you for doing those steps. But I mean, I think the traveler's looking for that. Those people that truly care about it, property are going to book, and they're going to pay a little bit more. And they probably would understand paying a little bit more.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's look at some actual practical changes that property managers and hosts could actually implement right now. Again, coming back to the more short term, what can we do now? Somebody's listening to this, and this often happens with one of these panels, that immediately after they get off, that motivation, inspiration, enthusiasm is there, and they go off and do something. So let's go around here and ask you, what are some of the most easiest, most cost-effective changes that people could make right now?
Well, I'll kick off. So certainly in Europe and in other parts of the world, but not everywhere, one of the biggest elements of your carbon footprint is your energy consumption. So obviously, it's really key to be on the right tariff in terms of how your energy is produced and how you pay for that energy. And obviously, following on from that, as Claire was touching on earlier, the tech side and using the tech to reduce your energy consumption as much as possible. So there's two sides of the coin there. The first side is actually being on a renewable energy tariff, if that's available in your area, and that's a call to your energy provider and switching over to a green energy tariff, or even switching provider. Now, obviously, it's still the same electricity coming down the wire, but it means that your money is then going to support renewable energy. It's not going into coal or gas. Now, I appreciate that isn't always available in all parts of the world, but certainly in Europe, it's much easier to do. Doesn't necessarily have to cost you any more money. And then you can start to talk about that with your guests, that you're on a green energy tariff. So that's stage one. And then connected to that is this whole idea of the tech. And we could talk the whole 40 minutes, 50 minutes about tech, but there's lots of tech out there which will help you monitor your energy consumption, turn off devices when there's nobody there, and make sure that you're not spending any more on heating or cooling than you need to do. So there's so much tech out there. If you go to the environmental website marketplace, you'll find us listing lots of tech, but just search for tech and short-term rentals and energy, and you'll find lots of great companies out there who can help you reduce your energy consumption.
I would just like to jump in there because you mentioned Enviro Rental Marketplace. We hadn't really, in my introduction of you, Bob, I didn't pay much attention to that. But let's get Mike to put the Enviro Rental website on the chat as well, because that you have so much in the way of resources and help for people on there that everybody should be going there to register and it's free. You can go check out everything that's on there. Yes, you can check out everything that is on there, and it is the most comprehensive resource for anything green and eco-friendly. So just wanted to put that plug in for you, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay. Sean, what would you say are the easiest, most cost-effective sustainability changes that you'd recommend?
I mean, what I recommend is obviously look at your cleaning products. Obviously, that's what I do. But, sustainable cleaning products, we designed a program, the drop and go cleaning products that are simple. There's a bathroom, a glass, and a degreaser. All we wanted to do was make it simpler for the housekeeping team. The spray bottles are reusable, so therefore lessen our carbon footprint there. But also with your laundry facility, understanding, the energy, the water there, your chemistry there can be really huge. There's different ways, not necessarily cold water. I'm still kind of torn on the whole cold water washing in our arena because I don't think that's very effective just yet. But there are ways to save on water and energy back there in the laundry facility and things like that. So the two things, I always go to is maybe look at your paper products, look at your cleaning supplies, and then maybe even something as simple as your vacuum cleaners and some of those appliances that use less energy. That's great. And also, I've got to give a plug out to Sean and ETI Solutions.
I use all of Sean's cleaning products, and they are the best, absolute best. I was just talking to one of my colleagues in Canada this morning. She's actually on. She's listening to this call today, and was recommending that all your cleaning products to her, because she does run a cleaning company too. So I need to connect you two, Sean.
Would love it. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I was telling her that you do the best stainless steel cleaner I've ever come across. So
no, that one's awesome. We did. That's a good product.
Claire, what about you? What would you recommend?
I mean, Sean and Bob have covered quite a lot there, but a few other really simple things that come to mind are things like providing a washing line as well as a dryer. You know, if you've got a garden and outside space, and hopefully nice weather while people are on holiday, providing that, harvesting rainwater. If you're using a lot of water to water your garden, it's so easy to put a water butt outside, so that you're using less of the mains water. And then I think making it easy for people to recycle is really key. In the UK, we're quite lucky. Well, lucky. We get a lot of variation between different areas, but you can recycle an awful lot of different things. And I think making that really easy and simple for people to do while they're in your holiday let is really important. You know, what color bin does it need to go in? Exactly what can you recycle? I think that's another really important thing to do. That's really easy and cost effective to do as well.
I love that you mentioned washing lines.
What is
so
that?
Easy, right?
What's a washing line?
Okay, so hanging and washing outside. Yeah. To dry, yes. A drying line should be a drying line. But I come from that generation where we didn't have mechanical dryers, or that when I was a kid, everything got hung out on the line, and there was nothing nicer than bringing in freshly dried clothes that smelt of the air and not of some chemical stuff that you threw into a drum. So I love that you mentioned that, and Sean, that really made me laugh.
Sorry. It's too hot down here for that.
What if it's a breeze? It's just so nice. It's just so nice. Okay, let's sustainability at scale. That's, I think all three of you have talked to property managers who have a lot of properties, and it's a quick in and out, and change them over every few days. When we go back to years ago when it was just weekly rentals, well, that's not the same now. You might be changing out a property every 1 day or every 2 days. So how do you help those property managers who've got multiple properties deal with those challenges of sustainability at scale? And Claire, I mean, Sykes is a huge company. How does this work with your organization?
Yeah, so we represent 22,000 holiday cottages across the UK. We're an agent for them. We don't own them all. So as you can imagine, we're also dealing with thousands and thousands of owners who all do things in very different ways. And for us, it's about informing and educating them on how they can do these things and make these changes. There's really simple things like, speak to your housekeeping staff, make sure that, if you haven't got someone coming in for a few days, don't leave the hot tub on. You don't need to leave it at that temperature all the time when no one's going to be there and using it. Making sure that things are switched off and not left on standby. And then there's the whole thing around, if you're providing toiletries and switch to refillables, choose environmentally friendly product that doesn't have all the microplastics in it, to have that impact there as well. And then encouraging that whole piece around just encouraging your guests to think about things while they're on holiday. But I mean, they're on holiday, right? They want to relax and do what they want to do. So it's the way that you get that messaging across. So it's like, did you know you actually get a better night's sleep if you don't have the temperature up so high? You know, you're gonna feel more rested and healthier. So it's getting the message away in that way, really. Right? You don't want to be preaching at them.
Yeah, and exactly. I'd add to that, if I may, in that, you know, my personal experience and most of my knowledge comes from what I've learned and the mistakes I've made for my rentals. And, you know, we have an arrangement with local restaurants where they give our guests a discount. And we write about those restaurants in our digital guide. We use the Touch Day guide, other guides are available. And we talk about these great restaurants that will help you have a lovely evening or a lovely day, and they will give you a discount. Those guests bring that discount back to us. We match it with our own investment, and then we use those monies to do something good in the local community or nationally or internationally, or planting trees or whatever it might be. It varies from time to time. But it's as Claire was alluding to before, you're involving the guests. I think part of the solution, a large part of the solution, is to involve the guests. Let them feel that they're doing the right thing too. Let them feel that you're on the same wavelength. And they go home going, hey, this is great. You know, I chose an eco place to stay. And while I was there, I actually, just by going out for dinner, I helped create some money that then did X, Y, and Z. And it gives people a lovely feeling. So do communicate carefully and gently, as Claire says. You don't want to be nagging people about what you're doing in the property and how the guests can help you. And that if you explain it in the right way, if you can help me to be more sustainable, that would be fantastic. And here are 3 ways that you can do that. A lot of people will do the right thing and meet you halfway. And I think that is a great way of helping these owners at scale.
Yeah, I think that's huge, Bob. I mean, you know, if everybody, when you stay at a place, you want to help out, you want to, you know, leave that place, you know, pretty much the same way it was when you got there. And if you had little tidbits of don't leave the door wide open with the AC cranked down to 60, I mean, there's just, or vice versa when it's in the winter. So there's so many little things that I think people just kind of forget about when they go to the vacation, and they're not thinking about, you know, sustainability or these little tiny things that they could adjust, and it should make them feel good and be part of the community, help out.
So I want to introduce a question now that we've got from Terry Hodgson from Limberlost Vacations in Ontario in Canada, just down the road from me when I'm there. Terry runs a sustainable, small sustainable property management company. She also runs a cleaning company. And she says, how do you succinctly define sustainable in an elevator pitch sort of format to a potential property owner as a client? And I think it's just such an important question because people have such broad and varying ideas of what it means. I think I like that you mention it in terms of addressing their ROI. Do you consider it as acting as an umbrella term encompassing everything, safety, community, as well as environmental stuff? Bob, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, people get really confused about sustainability, and there are so many different definitions of it. Another way of thinking about it is think about responsible tourism. Think about it's doing the right thing. It's doing the right thing for your local community, for your local environment, for the planet. It's doing the right thing for nature. So it's about supporting nature because biodiversity is under extreme pressure. And if you look into the details, it's incredibly depressing how much we've lost the biodiversity in the world. And we need that nature. We need that. It makes us feel good. And we need the bees to pollinate. We can't do without nature. So I think responsible tourism is also another way of describing it. Sustainability can be defined in so many ways. So, but I would say it's about the planet. It's also about your local community. And it's also about doing the right thing for your employees as well. And, you know, certainly, you know, as Claire knows very clearly from B Corp, you know, you are being assessed on multiple factors, how you relate to your service providers, who provides the products and the services that you use. So your supply chains are really important. Your governance is important. How you manage your staff is important. So I think all these things are interwoven and isn't just about doing the right thing for the planet, important though that is.
I like that that whole area of, and Bob, we've discussed this before, the overuse of the term sustainability, but changing it to responsible tourism, that it seems to be able to appeal to a lot more of a generalized audience. Any more suggestions for Terry, Sean, or Claire?
I think that whole way of looking at it, Bob's completely right. It isn't just about the planet. It isn't just about the local community. It is about doing the right thing, really, across the board. And I would say, getting your guests to engage with the local community is really important. Signposting them to the local producers, the independent restaurants, shops, bars. What we like to promote as Sykes is, our guests spend their money in the local economy. It's worth, I don't have the figures off the top of my head, I'm terrible at remembering stats, but it's millions that it's worth in the UK to local economies. They couldn't exist without tourism. They go hand in hand. But do the right thing when you're on holiday. Encourage your guests to engage with their surroundings, the nature that's on the doorstep, whether that's the beach or the lakes or the hills. It's something that we're really passionate about here at Sykes.
And the other thing I would say, if I may, and if I may just, and again, I'm just giving a shout out to Sykes, because, they do something which is so brilliant and so many other companies don't do, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Claire, we haven't spoken about this before, but I think at Sykes, they give their staff time off each year to volunteer in the local community. And that's an amazing thing. And I don't know how that operates and how it works, but, if every company did that, that is another great way of giving back to the community. Perhaps, Claire, you should explain that. I've probably got it wrong.
Sure. So, we have a volunteering initiative here. We're in our third formal year of it. So everyone can take 2 days a year, paid days, to go and volunteer at any charity or community initiative that they feel means something to them. And we have about 40% of our staff engage in that initiative, which is, we'd like it to be higher, but is actually really good. I think the average is something normally about 15 to 20%. So, and they can go off and do anything, whether that's, we have a great relationship with national parks where teams go out and help sort of remove invasive species. We've got teams going out helping at food banks. We have partnerships with so many different charities across the UK, because we have offices across the UK as well. And yet we find that, they're doing a really good thing, helping a charity that maybe doesn't have the funds and resources to, do those activities. But also it's really good for the well-being of our team. And we think that's a really important part of life at Sykes, really.
Yeah, I've noticed down here in Gulf Shores, Sean, that a number of the companies they show their staff out doing beach cleanups and other volunteer exercises in the community. So it's certainly something that goes on down here. But going back to Terry's question, I think that sharing the responsible tourism aspect of it, that you are local, that you are in that community, and that you love that community that their property is in, it's going to stand apart from co-hosts who are trying to manage your property from somewhere remotely. So that to me, that focus on being local, having your own boots on the ground, knowing the place, and of course the volunteerism. From my perspective, I think that's a great message to give. Sean, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's nailed so many good things, but what it comes down to is, in a vacation rental, we're so unique, we're different. We live in different parts of the country. Everybody's wanting to have a nice little special touch with experiences. Like you said, the clean up the beaches, the sea turtles are humongous down there to help take care of those. So every, property management company out there has a little something special in their community that they could hang their hat on and everybody can kind of give back in that way. So you guys kind of hit it all with the experiences and community and giving back and being responsible.
And I would add, if I may, is that actually going back to the SSTIR badge, you can get points for doing some of these things. So if you're doing some stuff that you wouldn't immediately think comes under the banner of sustainability, it is part of the assessment criteria. So that it is wider than just pure sustainability. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I remember talking to Vanessa de Soujalage when she first founded Sustonica, and we were talking about some of these initiatives and how it could be something simple that you supplied bags for people to take shopping, that you didn't have drawers and drawers full of plastic bags, but you provide canvas bags for people to take shopping when they went to the farmer's market. And I had not thought that, oh my gosh, that's part of the criteria of being a sustainable, being a sustainable host. It doesn't have to cost a huge amount of money. So I love that. I just want to talk about technology now. I don't want to finish this without talking technology because it plays such a key role in reducing energy and resource consumption. I think, Bob, Claire mentioned hot tubs? It made me think that, I'm down here in Alabama. My hot tub back in Ontario has been running since I left in January. But it's running on the absolute lowest possible temperature because people go into that home when that's my son, his wife, their family. They will go up to their cottage, my home, for the odd weekend. So they want to use a hot tub when they get there. We can't turn it off because it would freeze. So it is running, but we have a device that automatically, we can program it to lower the temperature when they leave, and they can turn it up when they go back. Same with the sort of Nest thermostat. Our house is on the lowest temperature it can maintain so that the pipes don't freeze while we're away. But I can, from a distance, turn that temperature up. And I think we're all very aware of those types of that type of technology that is now available to operate things remotely. You don't have to keep something keep your house on a high heat because you've got people going in there in the winter and they might come, but you can remotely operate this. What other tech investments can people prioritize apart from that sort of heating, cooling type that I think everybody knows about?
Well, you could also have, some of these really sophisticated sensors, they do multiple things. I'm thinking here of somebody like Resi Central, who are owned by Host and Stay in the UK, but others as well. Minute as well is another great company. And their sensors do much more. Obviously, they can control the heating and the cooling. They also can sense whether there's anybody in the property and switch things off if there's nobody there. Some of these sensors can also be tapping into monitoring to make sure that there's no leaks. And if a leak occurs, a water leak, I'm thinking here, you get alerted to that, because obviously in some parts of the world, that can happen with a burst pipe, and that can cause a lot of damage. So those things are important that you want to be monitoring. And also they can monitor things like noise levels if you want to avoid big parties, or even smoke levels. And I think even the latest ones can sense if there's any drugs or illicit drugs being taken. They can even sense those sorts of things. So these sensors are getting super sophisticated. I'm not an expert in them, but there's some great ones out there. And obviously, depending on what you really need to monitor, then there's a sensor out there that can give you the solution.
And that's huge, Bob. I mean, I've heard of so many properties down here with somebody leaving the bathtub on and it overflowed and flooded down through the next floor. Maybe, the dishwasher gets turned on, everybody's done, they left, that could back up and flood. So those little extra technology things out there are pretty neat.
Yeah. And also, I certainly use them on my own home. I mean, as simple as the light bulb, obviously you can buy light bulbs that have an integral sensor in them. So I have them in my hallway, and so that when I walk into the hall, I don't have a fancy gadget on the wall. It's just the light bulb knows that I'm there. It senses my movement, and the light comes on. I mean, so you don't even have to buy a gadget. You just buy a particular light bulb, and that will do that for you. So there's lots of great technology out there. You just need to do a little bit of research.
I need that in my house for my kids. They leave every light on in the house.
I went to a vacation rental in the UK last year, and there was just a little thing above, in the kitchen that showed how much electricity we were actually using during the day, and I'd never seen one of those before. And I have to say that really got me thinking, about turning heat up, and about my use of electricity, because it was always there, and it would, if we had the kettle on and the toaster on and all sorts of other things, it would start ticking up. And I'm not sure it actually made me use less power, but it's certainly because I was certainly more conscious of the power of the energy I was using. Is that common? I mean, Claire, is that common in the UK?
Yeah,
to have those
smart meters.
devices?
Yeah, smart meters are becoming more and more common. I won't get too political, but there's a big government initiative to get people to move over to smart meters, and part of the reason is so that it does make you think more about the energy that you're using, and because so many people just leave things on standby all the time, and I think with rising energy costs as well, it helps you sort of monitor your spend as well as your energy usage.
And I would say also there's a great company in the UK called Bob W, no connection to me, unfortunately. And they're doing some amazing stuff. I posted about it recently on LinkedIn last week, I think. And they produce an annual report about what they're doing across their company around sustainability. Very, very detailed. I read it, so I know how detailed it is. But they give a detailed breakdown for the guest at booking and on departure of the projected and actual consumption afterwards of the energy used. So they get a carbon footprint. It's in the actual invoice when they pay or when they leave. And they have a free tool. I can't remember the name of it, but they posted about it last week, and it's available for the whole industry to just take and use. And they're really encouraging short-term rentals to start to measure these things and communicate it to the guest. And I think it's a brilliant, brilliant thing. So I do want to give a shout out to Bob W. If you go to their LinkedIn page, you'll find all the information there.
Mike, did you get that? I just want to check
on my list of
people
to look at, because I think that is amazing that they do that. Yeah. Just check out Jeremy Slater. He's a great guy, and he's the COO, so he can always help you, and he's offering help as well. So that's brilliant.
I don't want to finish this without talking to Sean about cleaning solutions, because I remember years ago, oh gosh, I'm going to go green on my cleaning solution, so I'm going to go to the supermarket and find those ones that just say this is the green option and there's no chemicals involved. I've since talked to Sean and understand a little bit more. I wouldn't say, Sean, I understand a lot more, but I understand a little bit more about the makeup of cleaning products, and the fact that there are chemicals in them does not mean that they're bad. And I'd love to have your take on eco-friendly cleaning products and how people should choose the ones that they're going to use.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. We've come so far with our chemistry. It used to only just be maybe a bleach or maybe the quaternary for disinfecting and sanitizing. Bleach is, pretty corrosive. It's got a pH of 13, so there's safer options out there. Bleach was actually designed as a sanitizer, for a restaurant type setting, and that was it. But it's so cheap nowadays, everybody uses it everywhere, and then you damage materials. But anyway, it's not going to get into that tangent. So your chemistry is so good. Your peroxide technology is very clean and very pure. The bacteria-based products, everybody hears bacteria and like, oh my God, bacteria is bad. but these are good bacteria that will digest greases and fats and other organics that are neutral chemicals that are very clean. So those are so safe. And I think, you know, the COVID era was eye-opening for all of us, because we got to see all these various disinfectants that were coming out there and how harsh some of them might have been. And so just by evolving this chemistry over time, the products are getting better. You know, essential oils are good. I know so many people like to make their own chemicals out there, but, you know, essential oils at a very small dose, you know, because they do have some VOCs, volatile organic compounds, into those essential oils, which are not good for the air quality in our properties. So there's definitely, you know, look at your bottle, read it, you know, make sure there's not 2,000 things in there. Make sure there's not a skull and crossbones, you know, see what your symbols are, and, you know, look at your safety data sheets and understand, you know, what your PPE might be, your protective gear to wear. And, you know, everybody should always wear gloves. I know we sometimes don't like doing it, but your skin is very absorbent, and it's going to bring in whatever chemical you're playing with using to clean. It's going to get into your body. So we really got to think about it a little bit better, especially when you're in there 5 days, 6 days a week, and, you know, you're huffing these chemicals. It's your housekeepers. I feel bad, because I've seen some people that have had some more asthma, even cancer related things, once they've been in the industry for 15 or 20 years. So just take a minute and think about it a little bit. The products are good. You know, they're very, the commercial grade products nowadays that are safe are really pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And another great addition to that, if I may, is those products, as Sean's described, excellent. Also think about the products that you use with those products. I'm thinking here of cloths and scourers and things. A lot of these come from oil. They're made from oil. You know, those certainly in Europe, we have those pads that are yellow on one side and green scourers on the other. Possibly they're all around the world. I guess they probably are. They are made from oil. And when you finish with them and you throw them away, they will take a very, very long time to compost. So think about other products that you can buy. I would say Composti is a great one, where these products are made from natural products. And when you throw them away, they will decompose within 3 months. And they're great products and they work. So again, lots of other companies are available, but don't just think about those cleaning products, very important, but think about the things that we use with those to apply them. I think that's an important aspect.
Well, let me ask you this, Bob and Claire, you know, over there, are y'all using bamboo products? Do you have bamboo paper towels? I mean, what is y'all's paper like?
Yep. We have bamboo toilet paper, paper towels. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cheeky Panda, Who Gives a Crap, Naked Sprout, 3 big brands in that area: tissues, toilet paper, kitchen roll. Yeah.
Because I've teamed up with a company here, and we're trying to bring in the first bamboo toilet paper and paper towel line, but you know, maybe it's 60, 70 cents for a roll of toilet paper when people here are paying 40 cents. So the cost thing is getting a little bit of a pushback, but I mean, less maintenance, not clogging the system. I mean, sustainable bamboo grows in 3 years versus traditional paper. So again, it's being responsible and thinking about it, but that would be my biggest pushback lately over here, is the bamboo.
And again, supply lines. I repeat this all the time. I think it's important, whether you're a one-man operator or you're managing 1,000 properties, think about the power of your dollar and spend it with companies who are doing real good. Who Gives a Crap, for example, which is a company I use, but the other two that Claire mentioned are great too. They give 50% of their profits to build water and sanitary facilities in the developing world. So they're doing so. You can amplify your impact just by choosing the supplier of choice, rather than going to supplier A, go to supplier B. You might pay a little bit more, but that depends upon your contract. But they're doing some great stuff, and that's the way of amplifying your spend. I really am very passionate about that one.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you brought up, it's not just the cleaning products, it's what you use to apply those cleaning products that's important. I have not seen Composti before. So Composti, where did I just pulled it up. It is composti.earth.
Is that the
and you'll find them in our marketplace. Go to environmental.earth and you'll look at the marketplace, you'll find them there.
Ah, wonderful. Well, of course, you know, anybody listening to this will, I'm quite sure, be heading off to environmental.earth the moment we've got off this call, and you should. I have another question that I just want to bring up in the last few minutes so I don't lose it. It's oh, there you go. Thank you, Mike. From Terry again. I'd love a good suggestion for providing guests with a no-brainer solution for storing compostables until the end of their stay in hot months.
I mean, not really an issue in the UK so much, so I don't think I can really add to that.
Well, I live in Italy and we do have hot weather.
Well, I guess it would be a compost bin.
Yes, absolutely. So
I
assume we're talking about waste in the kitchen that's going to degrade. So we would have a little caddy that sits on the countertop in each unit. And then in the garden, there's a big bin where they empty it into there. And at the end of the year, that is compost that then goes into the vegetable patch to give us lovely veggies for the next year. Easier for us because we're on site, so we can manage that process. But if the guest doesn't do it, the cleaner will empty them into the compost. So that there's a little bit of work involved there, but you get some great compost at the end.
I know something that I do at home in the summer is I put my compostables in a bag and put them in the freezer, and then they go out in the compostable bin at the end of the week. Just take them out of the freezer and just empty them in. You can use that same bag over and over. That whatever bag you put them in the freezer, you can use it over and over again because you can just empty out the frozen into the bin. That's my suggestion. Okay, we've just got a few minutes left, and I just want to do a quick round robin here. Looking ahead, just one thing from each of you. What do you think is going to be the biggest sustainability trend that shapes our industry in the next 5 years? Bob, you've probably thought about this.
I haven't actually, but I'll give this as an answer. I think the time will come, and I hope it's not very far away, that sustainability will be considered as obvious and as expected as Wi-Fi. You would never go to a place now and not and assume and there'd be no Wi-Fi. It was absolutely a must-have. It's almost like as important as running water. I think sustainability will be at that point, and I hope very soon, so that people will see it as just a no-brainer, that actually that's what we've got to do. Because at the end of the day, just to be, clear for a moment, there is a climate emergency and we need to take action, and we need everybody in our industry to step up and do their bit. And it might be different bits in different parts of the world, depending on what you can do. But I think that is my prediction.
Claire?
For me, I think it's going to be the continuing trend to people wanting to get that local community engagement and, find out more about the places that they go to, not only in the UK, but when you're traveling abroad as well. There's some great businesses out there that do a lot of work with, environmental tourism. And I think people really want to see the difference that they're making to the place that they go to visit. I think those kind of community give back programs and, even, hey, maybe when you go on holiday, maybe you want to go and volunteer in that local community as well. And I think that whole sort of guest experience and learning more about the different types of culture that go on in different places, I think that's becomes more and more important to people. They want to have that kind of it's not that kind of unique experience, that means something special to them.
And Sean, the last 30 seconds to you.
I mean, the only thing I think of as a bigger picture is us, because I'm on the manufacturing side, obviously, but we as manufacturers, especially the big companies, they need to start eliminating some of these ingredients that don't decompose in the environment. I mean, look at our oceans out there that are just full of all these plastic bottles. There's got to be a better ingredient, which I've known of a couple that are coming out there, but it's going to take a while for the change and the system to change. But better ingredients at that level of our plastics, of our food, our packaging, whatever, to decompose better within the country, the globe.
Well, thank you all three of you for those closing suggestions. It's been absolutely fantastic talking to you all, and thank you so much for being here and sharing all this. Mike, I'm going to hand this back over to you to wrap up now.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. And something I wanted to add in, I actually wanted to mention this last week during our regulations panel, is that if you find that your local authorities are, they're placing a priority on sustainability, whether it be power, whether it be water, all those kinds of things, this is another way for you to position your company or your business. If you can show your local authorities that as a local business that you are embracing those initiatives, and you're pushing them forward and making them front and center of your business, that is going to help to solidify your business as a supporter of the community. And I think that is a very smart way to every business owner should be finding out what is the position of their local legislative body on sustainability, and what kinds of things is that organization doing that you can follow suit on. I think that's a very smart way, and you can connect with those people in that organization to find out, how can we participate? How can we follow through with the initiatives you're putting in place? And again, that will help when regulations potentially could come in. So just to tie regulations and sustainability in together there, but I think that would be a really, really good one for people to be paying attention to. So thank you all for being with us. We had a little bit of technical difficulty on the Facebook stream when we first got started. We got it booted up within a few minutes. So apologies if you're watching on Facebook and missed the first few minutes, but we did get it up and running. Thanks so much for everybody, for Terry, for your questions. Actually, I'm going to post this one right here. There was a little message here from Matt to say thanks for the composty shout out, Bob. So he appreciated that. And to all of you for supporting us and Stir Crazy Month. It has been a fantastic 5 weeks covering some really, really important topics. Just a reminder that if you are not registered yet, it's not too late. If you're watching the replays for this, whether it's, you could be in the middle of the summer or towards the end of the year, you're watching these replays and you want to get some of the benefits of being a registrant for Stir Crazy Month, you can head to vacationrentalformula.com/SSTIR, where you can review all of the content from Stir Crazy Month, including all the sustainability content, the blog posts, the podcast, which goes out tomorrow with Bob and Heather talking about some initiatives to help Staywise Rentals, our little fictitious property management company there, going through the worst month of their lives. And also a big thank you to Guesty, our platinum sponsor, who have been supporting us right through this event. In fact, I have a meeting with them in 15 minutes where we're going to be talking about how we're going to continue to promote Stir Crazy Month over the next few months. If you do sign up with Guesty, they can take care of your PMS switch with almost no effort, and will also give you 50% off your first year. Now, you get that by registering for Stir Crazy Month, so make sure you head over again to Stir Crazy Month, vacationrentalformula.com/SSTIR. Thank you all for being here once again. I love these conversations, and hopefully we will get as many shares and likes and follows so we can continue to spread this important message and get this information out there. But from me, from Heather, from the Vacation Rental Formula Business School, we thank you again for joining us for another year.